Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bottom Line Show on this 30th of July, 2022. We got a full panel, a full host panel this morning. So we have Maria and Lamar this morning. Good to see you
Yes,
guys.
we're
Morning.
here live
Cheers.
and like live. Was that live in television? No, live on the internet. Yeah, I'm here. Been a long week, long 2 weeks, and want to say it's great to see you guys again.
Good to see you.
Awesome.
So, how was San Antonio?
Oh man, it's always great in San Antonio. It's a blast. I love the Riverwalk, and my mom and dad got a chance to experience it, and they thought it was great. Had a great hotel. It was awesome. Had the river come right into the bottom of the hotel, the Hyatt. It was nice. Had a great time.
Cool.
But
So, was it your hotel was actually on the Riverwalk?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Every time we go, we stay on the Riverwalk. It's like that's a different experience, than having to walk over to it or drive to it. But to come out of your hotel at the bottom, go downstairs, and you're right
Yeah,
on the Riverwalk in the middle of all the action. Yeah, it's nice.
cool. It's been actually a long time since I've been there, like 25 years. We were there
Okay.
for actually on our honeymoon, which is a long time ago for me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then we visited it a year later, but that was 1996, 97.
Okay.
So it's been a while. And how you doing, Bria? How's the mid America?
It's going good. It finally cooled off this week. I'm just sharing our stream to the Facebook page here. But yeah,
Okay.
it's all going really good here. We got some rain, and that cooled us
Wow.
off.
Really?
Cool.
We're begging for rain.
I know you are, but
They
I
say we
got
might run out of water. We may water. They say we may run out of water soon.
well, I
I
don't
just heard that yesterday.
Are you guys on like a watering ban or something? Or
Yeah, it sucks.
know.
Yeah.
So everyone's grass is brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Dang, I
we had
just
some
really
storms
want
here,
to
so I
grass.
actually have to cut my grass today. So it's actually growing.
Yeah. Our
Anyways,
grass, like
Mhm.
I got some of the best grass though.
So why don't you just get like turf? Why don't you get like fake grass so that you don't have to?
Who wants that?
Oh, I thought that was a thing. Sorry.
Turf,
see, you know,
maybe
my
sod,
my
but still grass.
You know what, you
see,
guys though? Hmm.
see if I ever retire to like Arizona or something, I am not getting grass.
Yeah, because what in the
I'm
world?
gonna have like one of those stones and just cactuses and stuff. Low maintenance.
I
I don't
take
even think
pride
you
in my yard work though.
sit there and follow.
It's like a relaxation for me to work in the yard and to not only that, I like having a nice looking yard. So this
Yeah.
rain, the
Okay.
lack of rain, I sneak at night, like 11 o'clock at night, and water my grass, or get up before I get up for work,
Wow.
while it's still the sun before the sun come up, and water my grass a little bit. I don't know, man. I got the greenest grass on the whole block. So it's like and everybody compliments it. So I guess a little pride and ego there. I'm in the barber shop. They're like, man, how'd you get your grass so green? I'm like, hey, it's just
Woo!
do what
You
I do.
really? Okay.
And that's another
You're
thing is,
you're like one of those people in the neighborhood. Then you're like, man, I gotta like keep up with Lamar. Look at his grass; looks so good. I gotta do the
yeah.
fertilizer in the spring.
But let's see. I think I told you all. Did I ever tell you why I started doing that?
No.
No.
Well, I moved into this community, and I was the only black on the street right there, and the only black person. And you hear these stories how people complain about minorities or people of color moving to your neighborhoods, and so I wanted to be that person that you're not going to complain about.
My grass is gonna be greener than all of your grass.
No,
I see.
it's not that, but I wanted to be the
No.
like right now. You're not going to hear anyone say, "Well, he doesn't keep up his yard," or "He doesn't keep up his house," or those. I didn't want to be that person
You know what's sad
that
though?
you could complain. So that's why that's what started this, and that's where I'm at now.
I think that's like a big fear for a lot of black people that move into a predominantly white neighborhood. They're like, "Oh, I hope they don't think there goes the neighborhood," or I mean, that was probably like a big fear of ours too, because we live in Lee Summit now, so it's a lot of it ain't a lot of us, but There is one really tall guy.
Interesting.
There's really one tall, really black guy who walks this cute little dog. Well, there's one. No, but seriously though, honestly, I really feel like that's like a real thing. I think that's a real like something that gives.
It is. It is.
Yeah, so that's why I started. It's not like that now. It's just now. It's therapy for me out in the yard.
Yeah.
You know, it's relaxing. It reduces stress.
As long as those bees stay away, right?
Oh yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good.
We a funny story. When we first moved in, so we have a patio in the backyard, and then it got steps, and then there's more patio space under the deck. But on the exposed patio part of our yard, we didn't. I think maybe George knew it because he's really good at like landscaping stuff. Anything that has to do with like, I don't know, cutting grass and whatever. He's cool with that. He's really knowledgeable on it. However, I'm not. I didn't know there was grass underneath our patio. I thought it was like just a patio. And so we have been moving so much that we haven't really been tending to anything in the yard. We've just been trying to unpack and get in the house.
Yeah.
We went outside our stove is broken, so we have another stove. Yeah, the stove here is really old.
Isn't it a joy to be a homeowner, Bria?
It
See all the things you missed.
Right.
We have never used the grill so much. So we grill everything, and so we grill everything.
Hamburger, hot dogs,
pretty
pork.
much.
You get like, what else can we grill?
You can actually put a pot on there and warm up your oatmeal. You know that, right?
We can fry our eggs on the grill. We could do everything on the grill.
Yeah, right.
And we go out to the backyard and we're sitting on the deck, and I just happen to look over at the patio, and there's like huge patches of grass.
In my deck, I gotta like the grass like grows up in the deck. I'm like, oh dang.
Yeah, we gotta
take care of that.
There's some spray you can buy.
Yeah,
like you talk about on the concrete, right? The concrete part. Yeah, just spray some. There's some spray that kills the grass right there.
I gotta tell you, it scared the mess out of me. I don't know why it scared me. I don't know how it scared me because I know what grass is. I know what weeds are. Why am I afraid of this? It just looks terrifying.
Well,
didn't know it before. You know, it was all clean and nice and cut. Obviously, they just sold the house. They wanted to look nice. We could move in.
Right.
And then we look out there, and it was just like wham, just.
That's hilarious.
Well, yeah. We want to greet everybody out there. Thank you for joining us this morning. We see you. We'd like to hear from you. If you have any comments, questions during the course of our show, please feel free to comment. And we have a guest this morning. We're excited about having a guest to interview this morning. He is a Iraqi war veteran from the first Iraq war. That's Desert Storm for those of you that are older than Bria. During the first Bush administration, not the second one. And but we have something serious to talk about regarding that. That made news this week. That you might have heard something called the burn pit. Veterans that were at DC this week. They're very, very active. Tim Hauser is with us, and he's going to talk about that and get us up to date on what's going on in the PACT Act and how it was passed and then not passed in the Senate, and it created an uproar, and justifiably so. So we're going to get into that. Lots of other topics to discuss. Brittany Griner was in the news. They're proposing a startling trade prisoner swap with Russia with a terrorist guy, and so I thought that was interesting. There's another person, Dan Whalen, involved in this, who's also imprisoned in Russia. We're gonna get into it with that. Yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene made news yet again with a comment she made. Herschel Walker is running scared from debating Warnock. We're gonna delve into that, maybe mock him a little. There's flooding in Kentucky. A whole police department quit in North Carolina. Yeah, a pastor was robbed in the middle of his sermon in New Jersey. the Mega Millions has still been unclaimed. Am I right?
I thought someone won that.
What?
I thought the jackpot has not been.
Last
Maybe
night?
not then.
Jack,
Maybe
I thought the
not.
jackpot is still out there. Is it?
Okay.
Is that right?
I thought
Somebody
somebody-
can correct us if we're wrong there.
Yeah.
Mega.
And
No, it's
the Mega Millions is still out there, still
guys.
available.
It
This guy
did.
from
It's
Illinois, right?
1.2. That happened when did that happen? This morning?
He didn't claim it until this morning, I think, or so I don't know, recently, because wasn't he out of Illinois?
Yep, 1.28 billion, guys. Let's talk about it.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Oh, I've been out of it. Wow.
Yeah.
So one
man.
person won that.
Yep.
One person won that 1.2 billion.
Woo.
Oh, one person, a ticket
Yeah.
holder. So I'm assuming
Okay.
other people are gonna come forward, or no, they can't come forward now, right? Because the numbers are just listed just now. I mean, would they? Well, I don't really know how this works. Is there a ticket or something?
You could come up later and get it, as long as you have your ticket. But
Okay.
he won. He's out of, he came from it was at a Speedway gas station. The
Wow.
Plains Speedway. Jackpot. Yep.
$1.28
That's
billion.
in Illinois.
I think that doesn't the store get
What is
rewarded with
Sam
something?
get?
Or
Everybody get a piece of it.
What does
get
Uncle
a
Sam
little
get?
piece of that.
Yeah, everybody get a piece of it. I mean, think about it. That's a lot of money. Like I heard one good a woman, a radio show host asked this telephone caller, "What would you do if you won that lottery?"
Mhm,
And he
mhm.
made a good point. He was like, "It takes 3 generations for a family to start to become generational wealthy. It takes 3 generations." And where you put that money, like in hedge funds and different types of investments. So if you take the annuity of like 30 million a year, right? 30 million, you can live off of 30 million a year for the rest of your life, actually. But 30 million a year, and you properly invest out of that portion you get yearly, you're then, like, by your third generation, you will have accumulated enough wealth to go, have that, like the Rockefellers or whoever, these other wealthy families.
Isn't it? But it's all relative. I mean,
I'm just saying, this is what you can do.
how rich is rich? You know
Okay,
what I
well,
mean?
just to give you guys some insight. The IRS will automatically take 24% of your winnings off the top, and you'll owe the rest at max time. So you'll owe around 16.9 million per year for 26 years, and that's going to come out to $502.5 million in federal.
So think about that. Think about that. You invest that every year. You invest not all of it, but some of that every year. And
Sure.
like I say, for 30 years, it takes 3 generations. So think about that. Now, there are people that have went completely broke in 3 years after winning these millions of dollars because they were just stupid.
Not this many millions.
No, I mean, really. I mean, people have. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can, if you have 20 million, you shouldn't have to worry through life.
So would you take it in annual payments, or would you take it
After
like
hearing-
monthly payments, or
after
would you
hearing
take it
how
all
this-
at once, or
Well, after hearing the way this guy put it, I would then, like, it's our responsibility to have beneficiaries who will take over, like, and that will be something that you will discuss, like every family does. You sit down, you have these real discussions about your family finances.
Or
You
you
know,
accountant or a tax attorney.
no, you do. You put somebody involved with that. But what I'm saying is that for the family to be able to make decisions,
Mhm.
and I think that that's what's lacking in a lot of communities who aren't used to having a lot of money.
not used to having money? Yeah.
So they don't know how to properly continue wealth in their families.
Right.
That's been the huge issue in our country that we've been talking about for the last couple of years, is financial wealth gaps.
Mhm.
And so when that guy made that conversation of saying, you can actually, after 3 generations, which is, Bria's kids, what I'm saying? That's not that far down my line, but we have them set up for life, and then their kids set up for life, and their kids, if it's properly positioned. And that's a family effort and conversation, just like any other wealthy family. Warren Buffett's family isn't sitting on this money all these years later because he was what is it? Careless with his money. He had great people around him.
Well, I want to know.
He messed up too, by the way. Did you hear about
Warren
his
Buffett
his company? Something to do with appraisals.
I got infallible.
It was something with
aren't all rich
appraisals.
people infallible semi-deities?
Yeah, but he had a great reputation and something. I got to get the information on it, but it was Warren Buffett's company. I don't know if he was directly involved or not. You know, he might just say, "Here's the check, invest." I don't know what. Anyway, it was some backlash came back this past week, and so I got to look up some research on that one. Yeah. But he's a respected. He's one of the most respected wealthy men in the world. So
I wanted to pose the question out there for people. What would you do? Would you take it all at once? Would you get it in annual payments like we're talking about? Would you invest it? Would you travel? Would you give a bunch of charity? Just as a fun question, what would you do if you won that?
I wonder how many times this guy bought a Mega Millions ticket before he won the lottery.
How many tickets he bought before this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How much money had he wasted trying to win the big one? And here it is.
I mean, was it wasted? Yep. It looks like it was an investment to me. Like, but
well, yeah, okay.
I wouldn't. I try to stay away from this kind of stuff. But.
I don't play the lottery. I don't like the lottery actually. I've seen so many people that really can't afford it, just kind of putting a bunch of cash down and wasting their lives trying to win it big. So I just don't believe in it.
I have a friend from high school. He was on Instagram. He got 2 tickets, and then he said, in his next story, he said, "Don't talk to me for 2 weeks. I didn't win the Mega Millions." He was salty about it. He's like, "I didn't win. I bought these tickets for no reason." And he never posts stuff like that, but I feel like he must buy these all the time. It seems like he does buy these tickets all the time.
Yeah.
Kind of lottery. He plays the lottery a lot. But
I would take it all because what if I died tomorrow?
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Good morning, Marcy. John, what's up all? Good morning, John. Good to see you here. So
hey, good morning.
Let's get into it. We have let's get into it with our starting topic here of veterans and the PACT Act and the burn pit victims. We have a video to start, and then I'll introduce Tim to come on. How's that?
Sounds good.
A portable one? I mean, no, but I'm thinking like... This is the worst form of over-politicization I've literally ever seen. This is total BS. We had the votes. We had strong bipartisan support for this bill. And at the 11th hour, Senator Toomey decides that he wants to rewrite the bill, change the rules, and tank it. How he convinced 25 of his colleagues to change their vote, I have no idea. I mean, what the hell? How does this happen? How do you change your mind right when you're about to make a law that's going to save lives? It makes no sense. It's an outrage, and there has to be accountability.
It's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity. It's hard to explain. But we will not stop until we get the job done. I don't know what we can do to convince the Republicans to do the right thing, except public opinion weighing in. We know what happened, you have to say to them. Why did you abandon our veterans? Come home, so that when they come home, we leave no veteran behind.
I'm used to all of it, but I am not used to the cruelty. They passed it. June 16th, they passed the PACT Act. 84-14. You don't even see those scores in the Senate anymore. They passed it. Every one of these individuals that has been fighting for years, standing on the shoulders of Vietnam veterans who have been fighting for years, standing on the shoulders of Persian Gulf War veterans fighting for years, Desert Storm veterans, to just get the health care and benefits that they earned from their service. From what I understand, you're not allowed to just leave your post when the mission isn't completed. Apparently you take an oath, you swear an oath, and you can't leave. But these folks can leave because they're on Senate time. Go ahead, go home, spend time with your families, because these people can't do it anymore. So they can't leave until this gets done. Because these people will not give up, they will not give in, and they will not relent. This is an embarrassment to the Senate, to the country, to the founders, and all that they profess to hold dear. And if this is America first, then America is
So powerful words. John Stewart is involved in this as he advocates for this cause. The PACT Act would have given money to specifically for veterans who were poisoned while they were doing their term of service in Iraq in the 90s, mostly through burn pits. We have with us Tim Hauser, who's a veteran himself. Welcome, Tim. Thank you for being with us this morning to talk more about this and to tell us your story.
Welcome. Tom.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to ask you if you can tell us what happened to you in Iraq and what this is all about.
All right. Well, I was deployed to Tehran, Saudi Arabia. And while there, they had dug a huge pit at about the size of a football field. And that's where all our trash was dumped. All chemicals, insecticides, pesticides, human body waste, vehicles,
So this
tires.
is our military,
Our
right?
military, yes.
Okay. That
Yep.
did this.
And they were also bringing body parts from Kuwait
Wow.
Wow.
and dumping it into the burn pits as well. And then, well, the pit that I actually set on fire, we used diesel fuel, but they normally use
wow.
jet fuel to set it on fire.
Jet fuel? That's
Jet
Wow.
fuel.
poisonous.
And it burns at such a low heat that it creates toxins that are emitted in the smoke.
So they just didn't know this at the time that it would be poisonous for people?
Actually, they did know,
Okay.
Wow.
because
Wow.
even before we went to Desert Storm, landfills years ago when I was a kid used to be able to burn trash out in the open.
Uh-huh.
Right.
It's been banned since I think 1970 something to burn trash in the open like that. It has to be in an incinerator. They made us burn the trash out in the open while we were overseas, and it burns at such a low rate of heat that it creates like dioxin and benzene, and then all the metals like mercury, uranium, all that come up in the plumes of smoke, and we were breathing that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
How long did it burn then?
24 hours a day.
So
Yeah.
even though they knew that it was poisonous, they didn't give you a gas mask or
No gas
anything?
masks. Well, we weren't allowed to open up our gas masks unless the attack sirens went off, alerting us of a possible chemical attack by Iraq.
Okay.
And not only did we have the burn pits, but the Iraqi army set all the oil wells in Iraq
Yeah,
on fire.
That's originally what I thought had happened, but this is our military as well doing this.
Yes.
So-
Yes. Matter of fact, Iraq and Afghanistan vets, it was all burn pits.
Mm.
Are you saying you didn't have access to gas masks unless there was some sort of chemical threat from?
Right. Yeah. Because once you open it up and use it, it has to be the filters have to be replaced every time you use it. Filters cost a huge amount of money for these gas masks. So if we were to use them, and just for the burn pits, we would have to change those filters out constantly, like every day. But the smoke was so thick, and we were living right next to these burn pits. I mean,
Right.
I heard from other bases that they were actually like 10 yards away from the burn pits is where
Wow.
the tents were.
Wow. Man.
Now,
Wow.
the burn pit that I was next to was next to the compound where I actually worked.
Mm. Got a
So-
question. I got a question, Tim. It's
ahead.
okay. So this was happening in Iraq. Was this a common practice in the military previously, or that was something that happened while in Iraq?
No, actually, it happened in Korea, the Korean War, and
Okay.
Vietnam.
Okay.
So
Wow.
there's other veterans that have been affected by similar kinds of things in different
Yes.
conflicts.
Yes.
Wow.
So were you Army, Air Force, or
Air Force.
you were in the Air Force? Okay. And how many soldiers were affected by this in your in Iraq?
For
do
Desert
you know?
Storm, I think it's around 250,000.
Wow.
For Afghanistan and Iraq alone, it's 3.5 million.
These are people that were affected by the burn pits.
Yes.
Wow. 3.5 million people. You said 250,000 soldiers,
250,000
approximately.
Marines, Army, Navy,
Okay.
Air Force. From Desert Storm was about 250,000.
Okay.
Afghanistan and Iraq, just those two wars,
Uh-huh.
3.5 million. So
Wow.
if you count Vietnam too, it could be close to 5-6 million.
So
Veterans.
is this practice still going on then in like the most recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan?
From our understanding, yes, there's a couple burn pits still burning.
Wow. And they still
Mm-mm.
haven't been able to
And I see there's a lawsuit. So basically you're saying the United States is aware of this. They know
Mhm.
it's happening.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
actively participating in it. They're being
Yes.
sued for it. And it's
Matter
still
of-
happening.
Matter of fact, the numbers that we get come directly from the Department of Defense.
wow.
It's still
Oh,
happening
wow.
right
Yes.
So how long was it before you started having symptoms of any problems or physical?
About a month before I came back, I was there for a year or close to a year. And
Okay.
about a month before I came back is when I started to feel sick.
Hmm.
But I just thought it was because maybe working 16, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year, I was just worn out.
Okay.
And then I knew something was really wrong.
now. I'm muted.
When I got back stateside, I had to do my annual physical test,
Okay.
and you have to run 2 miles. I used to be a marathon runner.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
Mm.
I used to be able to do that 2 miles in between 9 and 10 minutes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I couldn't finish it.
Mm.
I couldn't breathe. Everybody was looking at. They ran a pool at my squadron on how fast I was going to be able to run the 2 mile every year, and I couldn't finish. So everybody was like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with him?" So
Hmm.
I got out. I separated from the Air Force a couple months after that. So I didn't get in trouble for not being able to complete the test.
Okay.
They knew I was getting out, and about
Did
a
you get a
month.
medical discharge or
No.
no?
No. President Clinton at the time decided that our military was too big, so
Okay.
he downsized it, and my number was
remember that.
picked. It says, "Hey, we'll give you this much money if you get out."
Okay.
So I got out, and about a month after I came home, I started passing out for no reason,
Mm.
and I was going to the doctors, and they couldn't figure it out, and they did a stress test on me, and I passed out cold. But yet my heart was fine on the EKG. But they said my breathing was off. So
Okay.
they sent me to a lung specialist. And this lung specialist did some scans of my lungs, and he says, well, you got severe scarring of your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why you're sick. And he goes, by the way, were you over in Desert Storm? I says, yes, I was. And he goes, well, my brother just came back from there, and he's having the same problems you are. So the doctor convinced me to go to the VA. Now, at first I was having a hard time getting into the VA system because the Air Force lost my medical records.
Lost them?
Lost my medical.
Wow. How did that happen?
I don't believe that.
I want to say
Well,
it happened.
It had the base I was stationed at, George Air Force Base in California. Everybody who deployed to Desert Storm, medical records got lost.
Ah, I see.
Yes. So I think they were trying to cover some
Yes. I do
stuff
too.
up. They knew we were coming back sick, and so I finally got into the VA system. Now, one conspiracy theory out there about the VA is that veterans automatically get free health care through the VA once they separate from the military. That is a lie. You either have to have private insurance and you have to pay your copays, or you have to pay out of pocket unless you're destitute, which means something like 20% below poverty level is when you
Okay.
can start receiving free medical through the VA.
Through the VA system. Mhm.
Yeah, which pretty much means most of them are going to be homeless, but you need a permanent address in order to get into the VA system.
Okay.
You can't just be on the streets. So the VA kept telling me, well, we'll run all these tests, and they really didn't at first. But I started filing claims about, a few years after I got out, and all my claims were being denied. They were saying, because I was filing claims for what's called Gulf War syndrome.
Okay.
But according to the VA, in order to have Gulf War syndrome, the doctors cannot diagnose you with any particular illness or disease. It's all has to be a mystery.
Oh,
So,
man.
but Gulf War illness is different, though, isn't it?
No, it's
not.
it's
Okay.
yeah.
It's a breathing disorder. as well?
It's
Gulf War
supposed to be a mystery.
Okay.
Nobody knows what's wrong with you. So a lot of my friends were getting cancer.
Right.
I now got scarring in my lungs, so that disqualified me automatically for claims for Gulf War syndrome.
Okay.
So after a few years, I'm going through pictures, and I said, we were breathing that smoke from that burn pit constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed 5 miles from the oil well fires. So I'm breathing that every day.
Mm-hmm.
And there were days where the smoke was so heavy that we thought it was fog. And that's what we were told, that it was fog. But our uniforms were completely drenched with oil. We had to wipe the oil off our face and hands constantly.
Wow.
Our food tasted nasty. And it tasted like diesel fuel. So,
oh my God.
So, I started looking into that a little bit more.
Okay.
And at the same time, on social media was new at the time. So I'm trying to find other Gulf War veterans who were sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not having much luck. Lost contact with all the people I was stationed over there with. Lost contact with the people I was stationed with at George Air Force Base.
Okay.
And so I'm having a hard time getting other people involved because I was calling my congressmen, calling senators. I was emailing the White House. I was not getting anywhere. People were telling me, you're out of your mind. You got to be mentally ill. There's,
Wow.
how could they let veterans get sick like this? So I was even called a disgruntled veteran. And so I continued looking into it, talking with civilian doctors and everything. And they're like, we think it's from all that smoke that you were breathing every day. And so I started filing claims based on that instead of saying Gulf War syndrome.
Okay.
So the VA kept denying my claims.
Wow.
Saying, there's no proof that smoke made you sick.
Okay.
So then I'm hearing, as I'm at the VA, other veterans who were in Desert Storm were sick with the same illnesses that I was.
Okay. So you connected with them.
Started connecting with them. They were pretty much in like shelters and everything because they couldn't work. So
wow.
So they had no access to computers.
Homeless shelters.
Pretty much, yes.
Wow.
And I ended up moving it back in with my parents. Because I was
And you're from Ohio?
Yes. I'm originally from, I was born in Newark, New Jersey, but I grew up in Huron, Ohio.
Okay.
And my medical bills were just astronomical. I actually ended up having
meanwhile, while they're denying your claims, your medical bills were just piling up.
Yep. I had to file bankruptcy twice.
And you probably, it was hard for you to work.
Yes. Yes. I lost several jobs because I was sick all the time.
Okay.
So then I got to thinking again about what the lung doctor had told me.
Okay.
He's saying my brother had his brother had the exact same symptoms that I had. He had scarring of the lungs, couldn't breathe, couldn't run anymore. He had a body pain like I got constantly. So, so talking with the other guys, we all put our thoughts together and says, yes, it was definitely the burn pits, definitely the oil well fires. So we started campaigning on that. We didn't have a big movement. Nobody was listening to us at all, especially Washington, D.C. Nobody.
You're one of the ones that got this started then, to start the movement to get this organized.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was not getting anywhere, and I was getting frustrated. I was getting depressed because I was being denied by the VA all the time. So there was a while where I just gave up. And things just, start to go downhill for me because my depression was really bad. I was sick all the time. And then about little over 2 years ago, finally, going with the burn pit route, I finally got my claim approved, and I was put at 100% service connected, combat service connected.
Okay.
Took me 25 years to get to that.
So can you explain what that is? I'm sorry.
Okay. In order to get free medical care through the VA, you have to your injuries or your illnesses have to be a result of what you did while serving in the military. So I was able to finally prove after 25 years that breathing that smoke every day was what made me sick. And since I was in a war zone, that made it combat service connected.
Okay.
And I found out at that time that I'm terminally ill from this. And so when I opened up that letter, my wife was standing there with me. She sees me crying. I'm ecstatic. I'm happy. And But at the same time, we both looked at each other and we said, the fight's not over yet. So I'm posting like crazy on Facebook, posting like crazy on Twitter, posting crazy on Instagram about burn pits, oil well fires. Now it's making us sick. I got the proof. But yet the VA is denying Gulf War veterans. Close to 95% of all claims are denied.
90 what percent?
About 95%.
95% of claims are still today.
Just for Gulf War syndrome. 95% of those claims are being denied. Now include Afghan and Iraq veterans. It's 80% of their claims are being denied.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
Because the thing is when you file a claim with the VA, the veteran is required to prove
Right.
that it's service connected.
Right.
So that means you have to be your own doctor,
Your own advocate,
researcher, your own advocate, your own lawyer, your own supporter, everything. A lot of veterans are going without medical care because they can't prove, or at least the VA says they cannot prove, that the burn pits and oil well fires is what made them sick. And then they give up. I don't know how I lasted 25 years, to be honest with you. I was about ready to give up. But then I met my wife,
So
Marcy.
it was 25 years before you got that letter.
Yes.
So this is just within the last couple of years then.
Last couple of years, yes. I
Wow.
filed my first claim 27 years ago.
So Tim, what are your currently right now? What are your current symptoms, and what are you doing to treat them now?
All right. I have constrictive bronchiolitis. I also have interstitial lung disease. So I got 2 lung diseases. I have coronary artery disease without any plaque blockage at all. My arteries are shrinking in diameter due to my lung diseases. So now they think I have pulmonary hypertension, which means I'm eventually going to need, I already need a lung transplant. But the VA right now is, for some reason, not approving that. I was on oxygen, but the VA just took it away from me. Because when I happened to go in for my yearly test for that, my oxygen level only dropped to 90. It has to drop to 86.
Oh wow!
And it has to
90's
stay
not good
there.
though.
Right.
90's not good, right?
No.
Man.
At 92%, your brain doesn't function correctly.
Wow.
But it has to be 86% or lower, your oxygen level does, for them to keep you on oxygen. Don't know why it has to be that number, but it is.
Our United States military. Wow.
Now, also on top of that, I have PTSD and I have fibro. So I have body pain all the time. I was on inhalers and a bunch of other pills but they were all steroids.
Yep.
So I gained close to 80 pounds.
Yeah.
In about 3 years. So, and then with me putting on all that weight, the VA is now telling me, hey, you can't breathe because you're fat. But I said, I couldn't breathe before this. You're the guys who got me to put the weight on because of the medication you were giving me. So one day I started losing vision in my eyes. My face was numb. I couldn't talk very well. So my wife and I, we went into the ER, and the doctors did a CAT scan of my head, and they says, there's one thing that doesn't look quite right. And they didn't have an MRI machine to do the test that I needed. So they sent me to a private hospital in Cleveland. And straight from the ER, ambulance ride over to there, and they did a MRI. So now I got a lesion in my head.
Oh,
And
Oh, jeez.
so they were getting ready to rush me straight into emergency surgery. That hospital was, but 2 doctors on staff there were also 2 doctors that volunteer at the VA that I go to. So they came in and they says, no, stop. You're rushing this too much. We need to do other tests on this guy before you cut his head open. So, and they were endocrinology doctors. So they did a bunch of tests,
Okay.
said that the lesion is actually on my pituitary gland, and that is what's causing the vision loss and the face numbness and everything.
Okay.
So they took me off the steroids. I had to wait so long after coming off the steroids, because with steroids, when they take you off of that, you have to do it in increments.
Yes.
Because if you come straight off of it,
That's going to be a problem.
it messes you up even more than what you already are.
Mm-hmm.
So it took about 6 months to come off of the steroids.
Mm-hmm.
They redid the scan. They said the lesion on my pituitary gland was a little bit bigger, but they still didn't want to rush me into surgery because it's extremely invasive and very dangerous. So I'm still dealing with the vision loss, and now my body cannot control my blood pressure, even with meds. 1 minute it'll be super high, the next minute it's bottoming out, and I'm passing out. So we're working on that. They're starting to move up some of the tests that endocrinology and neurology's got to do. I get those done next week. So if it's the same size or bigger, then I'm going to go in for surgery to have that fixed.
okay.
But at least the hospital that they sent me to, those doctors put it in records that this is all related to breathing those burn pits and the smoke from the oil well fires. So, because once you get your service connection, any other illnesses that come up, you either have to file another claim, or you have to file another claim to get that added onto your existing connection, or you have to pay for whatever care you need.
Wow. What a process.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's serious, man.
Yep.
Is there right now with what you're going through? I know there's a lot of emotional trauma as well as physical trauma.
Yes.
What type of support groups are you connected to now as you go through this process?
Well, I do go to I do get mental therapy at the VA. I see a counselor. I belong to several Gulf War veterans organizations on Facebook and on Twitter, and we'll do Zoom meetings, or we'll call each other. We support each other that way.
Uh-huh.
And we also have it to where if somebody is mentally drained and they think this is the end for them, they're going to end it, they can call us. We help them get connected to the Veterans Crisis Line.
Okay, great.
So that's the support I got. Plus my wife and my son.
Right.
They're absolutely fantastic. My brothers and my sister and my mom, they're constantly there for me. Marcy, my wife, her brother, sister-in-law, mom.
Okay.
So that support right there is what's keeping me going.
So you've gotten into the system. They've acknowledged it finally, but there's many tens of thousands of other veterans in similar situations that are not getting the care that they need.
I would say millions are not getting the care they need.
Millions of people.
Yes.
Wow.
So can you tell us what this PACT Act is? I've tried to inform myself, and why was it passed in June and then was declined just this week?
To talk about the bill, I need to start from the very beginning on how how it first started.
We're here.
I am part of a group called Burpees 360, which is a very small group of veterans and family members. We advocate for this bill. The Burpees 360 was founded by a couple from Texas named Rosie and Leroy Torres. Leroy was deployed to Iraq with the Texas National Guard. He was an officer in the Guard, and he was stationed right next to a burn pit himself. He came back. He was sick, went through all the things. When he finally found out he was sick, at the time, he was also a Texas state trooper.
Okay.
He got fired from his job as a state trooper because he was sick. Instead of offering a veteran a desk job or whatever until he could be healthy enough to be back out on the beat, they fired him. So, and then Rosie was a nurse at the VA.
Okay.
She since has retired, but she kind of put two and two together too. Says, hey, those burn pits is what making you sick. So they were talking about what to do. But at the same time, Leroy became so depressed
Yeah.
that Rosie came home one day and Leroy had a gun to his head. This is how serious this is.
Yeah.
So she was able to talk him from doing that. The very next day, she started calling congressmen, senators, the White House, anybody that would listen. She formed Burpees 360 because she was getting feedback from other Iraqi and Afghan veterans saying that they were sick too.
Okay.
So she formed Burpees 360, and she wasn't getting too far herself. She was having a hard time getting anybody to notice what was going on. Then she saw a documentary that had Jon Stewart and a gentleman by the name of John Field. They were fighting for health care for 9/11 first responders that worked at Ground Zero.
Right. I remember that.
Chief noticed that they were getting the same illnesses that us veterans were getting. So she decided to call Jon Stewart. He happened to pick up. They talked. He invited her out to New York to talk to her about this. And I guess they called up John Field, and the two decided that this was a issue that they needed to get involved with. So at the same time, in Sandusky, Ohio, well, actually, let me back up a minute. In Pinkerton, Ohio, there was a sergeant from the Ohio National Guard that was sick.
Okay.
Himself. His wife and her mother started contacting Congressman Tim Ryan, Senator Sherrod Brown. Them two jumped on it right away. I'm not quite sure how Susan Zaire and her daughter got with Rosie, Leroy, and John Field and Jon Stewart, but they all met, and that's how the bill came to be.
So that's how Jon Stewart got involved with this, and then
Yes.
why he's so passionate about it.
And then with Tim Ryan and Sherrod Brown getting involved, Congressman Ruiz out in California, who's actually an emergency doctor,
Wow.
started looking into it as well. And he was finding that California Guard and Reserve units were dealing with the same illnesses. So he did a little bit more research. And he's like, yeah, we need legislation to force the VA to give these folks health care. That's how the bill came about. Now, the bill itself is it's going to give us what's called presumptive benefits, where if you have certain illnesses and you were stationed in certain areas,
Mm-hmm.
the VA will automatically give you your combat service connection benefits and give you your health care. On top of that,
Okay.
see, right now, my wife does not have survivor benefits.
Mm.
But with this bill, spouses and children of the veteran will
Uh-huh.
also receive survivor benefits when the veteran passes on.
Okay.
So what that means for the children is, right now, if somebody has a Purple Heart, if they lost an arm, leg, whatever, your children can use your GI education benefits and go to college
Yep.
for free.
Mm-hmm.
So once this bill passes, kids of burn pit veterans will get the same opportunity. They'll be able to use the GI benefits to go to college for free.
Okay.
Spouses will be able to receive
Mhm.
Our life insurance packages. They will receive a compensation for having to take care of us. They'll be able to file for caregiver. See, like the bill is named the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson PACT Act. Heath
Okay.
Robinson was the Army Sergeant from Pickerington, Ohio.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, his wife had to quit her job in order to take
Okay.
care of him.
Mm.
So they filed for caregiver benefits, which means she would receive a compensation from the VA in order to pay for his care.
Okay.
That was denied.
Wow.
Okay. So that's why that's in the bill.
Right.
So caregiver benefits will come as well, because a lot of veterans right now, if they have private insurance, they're lucky that they still have it, because veterans are being dropped by their private insurance. Their spouse's private insurance is dropping them as well, because the insurance company's putting out too much money. They don't want to spend that money anymore.
Right.
So they
Mhm.
drop them. Now
Mhm.
they're without insurance. So
Wow.
with this bill, getting the health care is going to save these veterans in so many
Good.
different ways. Now, also with this bill, it's going to give money to the VA to build more hospitals, more clinics, hire more doctors, hire more nurses, get them the specific training
Mhm.
to deal with toxic wounds. Because right now the VA really doesn't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
How is that bill going to work if the VA is denying that it exists to a certain extent to certain people? So if the bill passes, are they still going to deny
No.
a person?
Yeah.
No.
The bill is going to give you that designation if you served in certain areas. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. If you serve in a
Okay.
certain area
Okay. Gotcha.
overseas and you have certain illnesses,
Mhm.
the VA will automatically give you your service connection for that.
Okay. I see.
So this finally passed then in June. It was
Yes.
what, 400 million, something like that.
Yes. The vote tally was
Was it
80,
like 83 to
80
27?
87
26?
to 14.
87 to 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after it passed, Senator Toomey from Pennsylvania did what's called a blue slip. And that designated the bill as unconstitutional.
On what grounds?
Well, he stated that there was
he originally voted for it, right?
No.
Oh, he did not.
Senator
Okay.
Toomey did not. He always voted no for this. And I was kind of wrong on the count.
the
It was
math?
86
Okay.
to 14. Now, Senator Toomey said it was unconstitutional, so he blue slipped it. There was a little sentence in the bill concerning the VA being able to contract care to rural doctors
Okay.
in certain areas of the country, like Montana, Nebraska, where a veteran might be hundreds of miles away from the closest VA
Right.
hospital.
Mhm.
That, he said, was unconstitutional. So the bill went back to Congress. They took that out or reworded it to where constitutional lawyers said, this is good now.
Okay.
So back to the Senate it went.
Okay.
And matter of fact, I was at the vote on July 16th.
Okay.
And we had Senator Sherrod Brown up there, Senator Gillibrand, Senator Schumer. They all came up to congratulate us. So a couple days later, that's when Senator Toomey decided to blue slip it.
Okay.
So they were hashing
goes
it out
back.
on, they were hashing it out on who had to fix the problem. So finally, Congress, the House decided they were going to fix it, and they did. And so they passed it with even a wider margin than it originally passed in the House. On their first vote, they had 174 Republicans vote against it.
Okay.
This time, the second time, they only had 86 Republicans vote against it.
Okay. So even more overwhelmingly successful. Got it.
Yes, even more bipartisan than the original vote.
So then it goes to the Senate.
Yep, it goes back to the Senate. And before I bring it back to the Senate, I do have to mention not one Democrat voted against this bill. Not one.
Okay.
So it goes back to the Senate. Senator Schumer brings it back onto the floor. We're all driving to DC, thinking this is going to be deal. In a couple of days, the president's going to be signing this. So we thought the vote was going to be Thursday night. They actually moved it up to Wednesday because they wanted the president to sign it before the Senate goes on recess here in August.
Okay.
So we're listening to it, watching it on TV, and we're all happy. We think it's going to pass. The further it goes into the vote, the further we realize there's a problem. So 24 Republican senators who voted yes on the first vote voted no. So now there is not a 60 vote majority for it to pass. Now, this is the cloture vote, which limits debate on the bill. So on the second vote, now it does not pass. So cloture.
And the reason why?
The reason why is Senator Toomey now says there is a problem with the way the budget is worded in the bill. So
it sounds like he had it in for this bill from the beginning.
I've got my friend Kevin Hensley and I, we got a theory about this. And I'll explain that in a second. But he was able to convince 24 other Republicans that there's a problem with the budget. Now, what he is saying is that there's a discretionary fund where money has to be accounted for.
Right.
Every penny has to be accounted for that's used out of that fund. There is another fund called mandatory fund.
Right.
Where all that money has to be spent in order to get your budget again next year.
Okay.
Years ago, when the Republicans passed a bill, wrote a bill, passed it, requiring the VA to file a report on every penny they spend out of that mandatory fund every quarter. So the House and the Senate, they both get this report. They know exactly what the VA is spending their money on. Now, Toomey is saying when they take that money out of the discretionary fund and put it into the mandatory fund, that the Democrats are going to use it for whatever
Right.
they
It's going to give
want.
them a green light to be able to spend money on other things.
Right.
Is the excuse that they use. So it's
Well-
designated between discretionary spending and mandatory spending was the issue that
Right.
that the Republicans had.
Now, he forgets he voted yes on that
Yep.
bill requiring the VA to file a report on every penny they spend out of that mandatory fund. So
here we are.
His biggest.
So when you
biggest,
found out about it, that must have been a huge shock.
It's
and maddening.
We the guy I was rooming with in Washington D.C.
Mhm.
got so upset I had to talk him down. I had to calm him down. He was extremely upset. He's like, this vote just made me break my promise to all the widows and widowers in Michigan.
Oh wow.
That's how hard he took it.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's trying to figure out how he's going to explain it to the entire state of Michigan that this bill failed. Rosie and Leroy, obviously, they're extremely heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
The mother-in-law and the wife of Heath Robinson, everybody in Burn Pitch 360 was extremely down, depressed. It was not a good scene for us that night. Then we had the press conference the next morning.
Right. And that's the video that we saw.
Yeah. And you see how the Congresswoman was speaking.
Right.
How the Senator Gillibrand was speaking, Nancy Pelosi was speaking, and the way Jon Stewart was speaking. They were livid.
So here's some statements here's John Tester, who's a Democrat from Montana. This 11th hour act of cowardice will actively harm this country's veterans and their families. Republicans chose today to rob generations of toxic, exposed veterans across this country of the health care and benefits that they so desperately need. And make no mistake, more veterans will suffer and die as a result. That's John Tester.
Yes.
I also have a statement from Senator Johnson. Brief. I support providing coverage to Senator Johnson from Wisconsin, Republican. I support providing coverage to service members affected by burn pit exposure. Unfortunately, the bill as written includes an unnecessary provision that opens the door for reckless government spending unrelated to the VA. I voted no on closure tonight to insist on having the ability to amend the bill to correct this.
I got a question for you, John. I'm sorry, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
What would your statement be right now to our audience and to those who will see this video? What action can we take who are not veterans to help push this cause forward? I know that we can call our senators and our Congress people, but what else can we do? Are there any other protests that they're trying to put together? Any other meetings that we can attend in numbers and make an impact?
That is what we are asking people to do now. Is tomorrow, Monday, get as many people as you can. Hold rallies. Let these senators know that this has to pass.
Right.
We also still want them calling senators constantly. Email them, especially call their Washington, D.C. office now because they're there.
Yeah.
The reason we're asking everybody to continue to call them is because those calls are always recorded one way or another that somebody called.
I'm looking at the website, burnpitch360.org. I encourage everyone out there to go there. You can volunteer, join the registry. There's a newsletter. There's several stories from other veterans. You could donate. So there's lots of things just from that website. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tim.
Yep. Definitely want them calling. Doesn't even have to be their senators. Call every senator, even the ones that voted yes. If they voted yes, thank them. Thank them for their vote. We need to let them know we appreciate what they did. Because right now, all everybody is hearing is the negative part of this.
Mm-hmm.
We had senators stick to their guns and voted yes on this.
Mm-hmm.
They are with us. They go to these protests with us. They hold press conferences with us. Not only that, right now there are members of Burn Pits 360 sleeping on the steps of the Capitol building. They have been since Thursday night.
Wow.
AOC has joined them. Senator Gildebrand joined them. Congressman Tim Ryan has joined them. I understand several politicians from Michigan, their senators and congressmen have went out there. People from all over the country are buying or having pizzas delivered to them. I forget the young man's first name, but his last name's Hogg from Parkland, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
who's advocating now for gun law reform.
Yeah.
He joined them one night. The Capitol police officers that were injured and have been on the news, going to the hearings and everything, they have gone to every hearing for this bill supporting us. They have been out there supporting our men and women that are sleeping on the Capitol steps right now.
So again, this is $400 billion over 10 years, from what I understand.
It's
over 10 years.
Yeah, out of that discretionary fund.
So this, in the grand scheme of things, it is not a lot of money as compared to what this nation's budget is.
Right.
And it would be able to go a long way towards reaching people and getting their needs met.
Me as a veteran, I am extremely appalled that our elected officials have put a limit on how much they'll spend for our health care. They get free health care. They're guaranteed a paycheck for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
Since they serve in the Senate and the Congress now. They put a limit on how much health care we can get.
Mm-hmm.
They told us we don't matter,
Mm-hmm.
that they do not care about us. They don't care that we're dying.
Mm-hmm. Like John Stewart said in the video, they have no problem signing up for a war, going to war, sending people to war. Yet, what happens when they come home? They're the ones that are hesitant, and that's putting it mildly, to spend money to take care of these people that they
outside of the VA. When you have to go get treatment on your own outside of the VA, what would be like for a person with your symptoms? What type of bill are we talking about? What type of expenses, hospital expenses, are we talking about? So people can understand what these real numbers are like.
When I filed my bankruptcy the first time, my medical bills were at about $500,000.
Okay.
The second time was about $750,000.
Wow.
The scans that they need to do to find the cancers and everything, that's expensive.
Yeah.
And it's only getting even more expensive.
Yeah, there's no reason for these scans for any health ailment. The amount of these scans are so expensive. The machinery they're using, there's no way that it should be that expensive.
There's no way that without insurance, people can't pay for this.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we've all had to get scans of some sort, and to see someone that's in that can have a terminal illness, and you can't scan it because of finances, and that person's health to continue to deteriorate.
Here we are in this greatest country in the world, the United States of America, freest, and yet this is an issue here. It just comes back to that big question for me.
Now, before we go any further, got to tell you a little story here, because I know you were listening to Jon Stewart's speech at the press conference.
Yep.
Right before that, he found out that right after the July 16th vote, I was on a support group for Desert Storm veterans who think they were exposed to sarin gas during the war.
Wow.
And so we're chatting online. I don't know the guy's real name because he used a moniker on social media.
Okay.
And he was telling me that he was sick, full of cancer, couldn't work,
Wow.
lost his job, lost his insurance. His wife's insurance dropped them. She now had to quit her job to take care of him because now insurance couldn't pay for a nurse to come in to take care of her husband.
Right.
Yep.
He was telling me that they were so far financially in debt that there was no way that they were ever going to get out of that.
Yeah.
He just wanted to feel healthy enough to be part of his family again. So he asked me if the bill passed and the president was going to sign it. And unfortunately, I had to tell him that Senator Toomey blocked the bill, said it was unconstitutional. So he says, okay, thank you for letting me know. I need to go talk to my wife. Hour later, his wife gets on and he said her husband just killed himself.
Oh.
Oh my God.
That's
so sorry.
how bad
This is
it
real. Yeah.
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 So Jon Stewart mentioned that in his speech.
Yeah.
And he's been saying it on TV as well. And after the press conference, we all went over to Senator Gillibrand's office.
Uh-huh.
And she got us escorts so we can go to all the Republicans that voted no and ask them why. The first office John and I decided to go to was Senator Portman from Ohio, my senator. We knew he was in the office, but he refused to come out. His advisors, his revisors refused to come out to talk to us. So
Coward.
His interns, who are like 18, 19 years old, they manned the phones, said, well, the senator is all for this bill, but the reason he voted no was to shame Democrats.
Yeah. So
that was the only reason.
The most maddening thing this is for me is that things like this are made political when they're not. They don't have to be political.
They don't have to be. Yeah.
It used to be. There's things that was compassionate, that made sense, that everyone can agree on, and now everything's political. Everything.
Yeah.
So
this should be about lives, saving lives.
This shouldn't even, like you said, shouldn't even be a political issue. Every senator, every congressman should have voted yes for this. Yep. Every American in this country, regardless if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you're red, blue, doesn't matter what religion you are, what color your skin is, you should be behind this issue.
Yeah, how could you not agree on this?
Yeah. Agree.
You know, we volunteered to sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
And went to war for our country. And when we came back, our country turned its back on us.
This is it seems like in every conflict, every war that there's something similar to this. Back at Vietnam, Agent Orange, and then ever since then, it's something. It's some sort of mysterious illness that the military does not want to acknowledge, that people have to fight to prove that it's real.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Now, there is a passage in this bill to cover Agent Orange. They're going to get more benefits. It's going to cover more countries during the Vietnam War, because we actually had people in Laos, Cambodia. Yep. Mm-hmm. They're now going to be able to file claims for their exposure to Agent Orange. So they're finally, they're all in their 70s. Yeah, they're all in their 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're finally getting their just
Finally.
due. Finally.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Tim, I know we're going to be wrapping it up soon,
Mhm.
but I want you to, again, give out the contacts for people who are going through different types of illnesses from the military, the support groups that you mentioned earlier. If you could please mention those again, and in our comment box, if you can just type the names there. That way,
Yeah.
people can, who's watching this, can go ahead and try to get the help they need and also support these organizations. Lastly, the burnpit360.org, just to throw it out there.
Yep.
I was just on the site. You might want to talk to the people who run that site, that it shows an insecure connection. So you want to check that out. If people are donating money, you want to have that more of a secure site. I just happened, as soon as I
Yeah.
clicked on it, my screen said it. So I want to
Okay.
just give a heads up out there for that.
Is there
yeah,
other
please-
organizations
Yeah, we
besides
will.
Burn Pits 360s that you're
Well,
Burn Pits 360 that you're involved in? Anything else
matter of
out
fact,
there?
actually, the VSOs like the VFW, American
Mhm.
Legion,
Mhm.
AMVETS, they
Uh-huh.
all didn't support this bill at first.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah. They didn't want the presumptive benefits or anything like that. But lately, within the last year, they've jumped
Okay.
aboard.
Okay.
So they're also helping. Now, I'm going to suggest that any veteran that was overseas that was exposed to burn pits, join the VFW. They will help you with your claims.
Okay.
They will supply, if you need lawyers, they will help supply lawyers, the whole 9 yards.
So
That's
they'll help
why
you out with getting people that
Yes.
can help you.
That's
Okay.
one of the reasons why I became a member of the VFW.
Getting
They help me,
connected to
yep.
people.
Yep, they help me with my claims.
Okay.
And
Great.
so let me bring up these people here.
Yeah. That way our audience can see it, and then they can share it. The
Mhm.
more information, the more ways. Everyone's on social media, so the more ways we can share this information, the more ways we can get it out there. And like you said, tomorrow, if people can get out and rally and support and protest, to stand behind this great cause of getting our veterans the help they need.
I want to thank you for being here, Tim, and so much, and
Thank
for
you.
telling your
Oh, I
story, for
appreciate
being
you
so
guys
open
allow me
about
to
it.
come on
And,
to
Yeah.
discuss this with you.
Hey, Tim, if you could also friend me on social media, man, I would love to stay in contact with you.
yeah,
I sure will.
definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
most definitely will.
we're praying for you and your family, and for your health,
Yes.
and for
thank you.
everyone out there like you, your friends, and
And like I
we'll
said, we
definitely
want
pay attention to this and follow up on this. Make
it-
sure.
and
where
one
this
one
is at.
last little thing. Like I said, we are asking all Americans to rally with us.
Yeah.
If there's not veterans in your town, go to the next biggest town, hold a rally. Let
Yeah.
Washington know that you are supporting troops and this bill 100%.
Yeah.
This is the first time veterans are actually asking our civilians for help. We
Right.
need your help.
Yeah.
So please hold rallies for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. You want to, hey, we always ask people, Tim, if you want to stick around, and we're going to be talking about some other current events from this week. You're welcome to stick around as long as you want.
Sure.
And we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Oh, I appreciate you
Yeah,
guys having me.
definitely.
Yeah. What do we got, Bria? What's our lineup today?
Where do we go from there? That's
Yeah.
that's
That's
heavy.
tough.
Okay. We have Herschel Walker. We
Okay.
have Marjorie Taylor Greene. We have some flooding in Kentucky that we're going to go talk about. We're also going to touch on Brittany Griner's case in Russia.
Okay.
There was an entire police department that quit their job because of a in North Carolina, because
Kinley,
a black man
North Carolina.
elected. What was he elected for?
It was a female. She was a woman, elected for city manager.
Sorry,
And
my
she
brain
would-
is scrambled.
Yeah, she'd be over the police
So-
department.
Yeah, we could talk about that. But supposedly she
Right,
was it created a
Hostile environment.
hostile work environment. Yes.
She was there like a couple of days, 2 days, I think, and they decided to quit.
Yep.
They all put their 2-week notice in. Yeah, there were no
Go ahead,
hostile
go ahead,
environment prior.
Also, they're sexist and
Okay.
racist. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a New York City pastor who was robbed during his sermon, and
Well,
lost $1 million was stolen from him and his family, like in jewelry and in belongings, property. The Mega Millions ticket was sold, and it.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about that. So.
Oh, we did this morning, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can talk about all of this in a half an hour. But
I don't think
so what do you?
So
So
let's-
pick a couple of things here. What do you want?
Well, I mean, hey, we might as well jump in on Marjorie Taylor Greene, Christian nationalism.
Okay. One of our
And
favorite
our-
people here in the
Let our
show.
audience know that they can jump in on any of these topics. Just
Yeah.
throw it out there, your comments. You see the ticker at the bottom is talking about the different topics that we were presenting today. So what you see there, you can talk about, bring it out. Let's get your comments.
Here's Marjorie Taylor in her own words. This is a news report about that short video.
Far-right Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia set off yet another controversy when, during an interview conducted at the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit in Florida, she proudly described herself as a Christian nationalist and urged the Republican Party to openly embrace an ideology of Christian nationalism.
What do you think is the primary focus of the GOP going into 2022? What should it be opposed to what it is?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question because there's a lot of things that should be. I think Republicans really need to recognize the people they represent. Okay, they're voters, not the lobbyist donors, not the corporate PACs, not those people. That's not who the Republican Party should represent. We need to be the party of nationalism, and I'm a Christian, and I say it proudly. We should be Christian nationalists. And when Republicans learn to represent most of the people that vote for them, then we will be the party that continues to grow without having to chase down certain identities or chase down, certain segments of people. We just need to represent Americans, and most Americans, no matter how they vote, really care about the same things. And I want to see Republicans actually do their job. That's
I wanted to stop it right there because that really sort of sums it up. So first of all, when she says Christian nationalism, what kind of Christian nationalism are we talking about? There's hundreds of different varieties and flavors of Christianity. So what is it your church,
So
Marjorie, that's going to be the dominant here? Is it the Roman Catholic Church? Is it the Southern Baptist Church? What church are we talking about? What sort of brand of Christianity are we talking about? Are we talking about the LDS Church? Help me out here, because that's not altogether clear. What would this look like exactly? And who's going to administer all of this? So it's really ridiculous. Go ahead,
So
Bria. You
if
want to
you
say
think
something?
apparently the Christian nationalism belief is a belief that the American nation is defined by Christianity and that the government should take active steps. I'm just reading this off of a website.
So I got a question. Oh, go ahead, Aubrey. I'm
I was
sorry.
like, but my problem is that this doesn't make any sense to me because, well, I don't think most Americans are Christian.
Yeah, for the first
Well,
time,
I
for the first
understand
time in a long, long time, maybe
Okay.
the first time in American history, most people do not identify as Christian. Most people, or at least less than 50%. When I say most people, less than 50% of Americans now do not identify as a Christian person. So, right there, when she says most people, most Americans, who's she talking about?
Well, a bigger
Well,
question.
okay.
Well, I have a question here. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Darren, and we're taking this into who identifies with what. But if you take it with what she said of by her saying that America is a Christian nation, what takes precedent? Her statement or the fact, like the Treaty of Tripoli, where it says that the government of the United States of America, in any sense, America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. So if that's what is documented, how can a movement trump what's documented?
I mean, if you think about it, though, let's just be real. I hate to play devil's advocate again, but when you look at our money says in God we trust. I mean,
Yeah, but it doesn't say Christian on there at all.
I know, but we do know that Christianity was major. It was the majority
Actually,
religion that
that's
was being followed, right? When this country was founded. Am I right?
It is. However,
It
there
was-
isn't. There's
I'm
not
not gonna
anything
say it
officially
was
stating
followed.
that.
It was insinuated that it was. It wasn't necessarily everyone followed it, because we can tell by actions that it wasn't followed. And that's why I say, and this treaty was in 1797. were signed in 1796. The Declaration of Independence was 1776. You're looking at 20 years. It says America is not in any sense founded on Christian religion. So what I'm saying is that when people say that, it's a complete lie.
It is.
So
it is a
it's a
complete
lie.
lie.
So, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't be Christians or don't support that faith, because I'm a Christian. But what I'm saying is that let's not take what we believe, force it into politics in a way that it's causing more and more division because of a statement. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we're showing it right now. Every news station been showing it, and what she's saying is a complete lie.
Yeah.
Well,
You know
the
what I'm
reason
saying?
why I wanted to put this out there as a topic is because it is something that people are starting to talk about. It is something that
Right.
that people have in mind to try and do in this country. So it is a live issue. Otherwise, I would dismiss it as, well, that's just not going to happen. I don't know if I believe that anymore. That it could happen, or at least they could try and see it happen. We saw. We are seeing the erosion of freedoms in this country, where people are imposing their religious or moral views upon the rest of us, or at least that's what that's their stated goals.
I make this point a lot, and I think I say it every time we get on the air. Sorry, guys, I'm adjusting, but I say this a lot. America is actually a really young country.
It is.
It's not an old country,
but it is
So
it is actually one of the oldest democracies in the world. So, and the Constitution is actually a pretty old document. But go ahead.
However, we've seen, we've all taken history class, we've seen the rise and fall of many empires, and it took a long time to do that. And it usually erodes or falls apart as a result of division because of politics. So
Yes.
I feel like if we're ripping a note out of the history book, or however they say, we should be learning from, lessons from the past. Like this is, I feel like we're watching our country fall, which we are, and it's all because of party lines.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these issues, like we discussed, it shouldn't be partisan. It should be bipartisan. It should be, we all should agree on certain things. I mean, honestly, I hate to bring up fiction, but just there's a movie called Up that just Don't Look Up or something like that just came out last week.
Yeah.
Saw that.
The parody thing on Netflix
Ended because of, and even though it was hyperbole, obviously, however, it directly related to
There's a lot of truth in that. People die because of untruths, because of COVID,
because of politics,
misinformation.
Misinformation.
We're watching it happen every day, though. I mean, we can't even agree on climate change when the freaking Arctic is melting into a puddle. The climate is literally changing.
I think Tim wanted to say something.
Okay, I just wanted to get that out there. So
go ahead,
now I hope this doesn't offend anybody, and it's not out of line here. But when I think of nationalism, or somebody saying that they're a nationalist, I think and consider that they are racist. Because didn't the KKK state that they were a Christian nationalist organization?
Yes.
Wasn't the Nazis based on being
that was a nationalistic movement? The Nazis, Fascism.
So when she says Christian nationalist, I think she's admitting that she wants an all-white country.
Wow.
I didn't say it, but sounds like it's right to me.
I gotta call it the way I see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's nothing what comes to mind when she speaks like that.
Yeah.
Or anybody speaks like that.
Groups that have claimed to be nationalists. I mean, we've seen rallies. We've seen Ron, what is his name?
Ron DeSantis?
No.
Ron Paul?
No, he has a show. He has a Ronald, what is his name?
Ronald McDonald?
No, he interviewed a white nationalist though. And on air, we were seeing how white nationalists think. I'm not saying that this is Christian nationalism. I'm saying
Cheryl's agreeing with you. Go ahead.
he was talking about how they have to preserve the white race and that they feel that the fear is that the white race is becoming the minority in this country. What is the name of that show that we watch? He used to be on CNN or something, and he has his own Martin. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Roland Martin.
Roland
Oh,
Martin.
Roland
Thank
Martin.
you.
okay.
Thank you. I could not remember his name. He did interview a white nationalist on his channel.
Wow, I gotta tune into that one because that would have been a trip.
Yeah. Well, it was a
Roland
good
Martin is interviewing a white nationalist. Okay,
well, it's a good
I'm
conversation
gonna Google that.
because usually when you're on opposing ends of it, you rarely sit down and have a conversation about it. And so we got to see why they think the way they think. He definitely cut him down and knocked his knees out, but at the same time, we got to hear, the reasons behind it. And I do think that Marjorie Taylor has the same view. I think it's very clear. What's scary to me is that we've always known that this view was out there, but it's getting so much press, it's getting so much attention, and it's drawing people out that normally, would be in the shadows somewhere plotting in the shadows. Like now people are really, really open, they're overt about it. It's very open.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary because
It
people
is.
do crazy things,
And they're younger and younger that are coming in. Like it was a period of time where people were, younger people were thinking like, wow, this is not right. But when you start excluding the education of things like in schools, not telling the truth or not telling the whole truth, now
Burning
your
books,
students,
banning
well,
books.
then your students are growing up without the information. So they believe what they hear. Like you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's a young person who got caught up in believing garbage. And so she's going to continue to spit the same garbage because that's what she was taught. I mean, this is not like she grew up in an era where she saw the change. She's only going by what she heard.
Right.
And same thing with a lot of these young people. If you look at the ones that you see now that are standing for the Republican Party, they're young people. You don't see the old people talking that same garbage, although they may believe it, but they're not the ones in the forefront because their whole legacy is ruined after that. These young people are trying to build a legacy, and it's off of all non-truths and misinformation.
Well, one of the things that I keep saying is, as a Christian, I believe in the separation of church and state because what you're instituting is not true religion. It's not true faith. It might be religion, but it won't be true Christianity. It won't be true faith. You're not instilling faithful values in somebody by insisting on getting your way and putting it into law. That doesn't institute any relationship with God. So that's the biggest reason why I'm against it. I just don't think it would work.
Yeah. Jeff said that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not that old, but I'm like, she's not like Nancy Pelosi old. When I said that she's young,
She's in her 40s, I think, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
She
For a
should know.
politician,
She's old enough to know better.
well, for a politician, she's young enough.
She knows
she's
better
young enough
by
to
what
be
she
the-
was taught.
Right, exactly. She knows better. But then when I say where I push back with that is that it depends on what circles and where you're raised and how your family is raising you. Because you would think that she would know better than how she was taught, but there are so many people stuck in these ideologies, and it's like, how do you even get there? It's
I think
because they
she's
were taught.
48 or 47. So
They
go
were
ahead.
taught.
Sorry.
They were taught by people in their family, the schools they were in, and right now that agenda to close out. I mean, to stop certain conversations on history. That's a prime example of why they're pushing that. They continue because see, right now you can and this is, if you notice, this is when this really started happening, really strong on the news and social media was when the Tulsa, when the Black Wall Street history came out publicly. You saw all the stuff to push back history. There were people right there families that were part of that destruction. And it's kind of shameful to talk about. So the more you close out, stop talking about these things, burn these books, stop this historical background check, you can keep this misinformation or not telling the whole story moving forward. That's what they're trying to do with our young people. When you have young people right now in 2022 saying racial slurs on TikTok or Instagram for a laugh, that's a lack of education at home. What would allow a kid to do anything like this? But then you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene pushing this narrative. The young kids are looking at her like, oh yeah, she's and they're on fire for. Matt
Mm.
Gaetz, all these people, they're on fire for him. Where is the parental guidance? I mean, it's like that's
Well,
where
we live in an increasing world where partisanship has created bubbles of thought, and so you think that the other person on the other side of the aisle, however they divide, are the enemy, and they think wrong, they do wrong. So if you teach your kids like that, then they're going to think whatever
Great ideas.
whatever you say, they're going to believe. I think.
yeah,
If
but
you
I mean,
keep, if you keep saying it and you keep repeating it, then
yeah, it turns the truth for them. I mean, look at the
turns into truth.
insurrection. The insurrection is a prime example. You have people that won't even listen to truth.
I'd like to go back to what it says, what she says about the majority of American people. And there is a majority of American people. I disagree with her. The majority of American people are distrustful of religion, and understandably so. Here
Yeah.
we have, not to bring in this other topic, but it is related that this guy that was robbed in Brooklyn, the pastor in his church, has, between he and his wife, over $1 million of jewelry on their person.
Yeah.
Going to church.
Going
Now,
to church.
Yeah.
tomorrow, I'm a preacher. Tomorrow, the scripture is the rich young fool. This guy is a rich young fool. People see these articles because of social media. All these false prophets, and they're false prophets out there. They see this, and they respond to it, and they're going to reject this thing. So when you start coming up with this, I want this nation to be Christian and to be a Christian nation, they're going to push back on this because of stories like this.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can get up there and preach in front of your congregation, and these people are giving
With $1 million worth of jewelry, and people take him seriously.
Honestly, people give their last to the tithe basket.
Yeah.
They give their last to tithes, and to see your pastor preaching up there with jewelry on and millions of dollars. I mean, now, of course, there's more to the story. I honestly do believe, I don't want to slander anyone. So allegedly, though, it is being said that this was an insurance scam. The only people who were robbed were the pastor and his family.
His wife, yeah.
You know,
And nobody in the
fooled
crowd
by.
tried to stop the robbery.
Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
They stood still.
The guy sitting in the back was like,
It's just weird.
That guy in the
What a
back was
weird
like, man,
story.
this your problem. He was like, this your problem, bro.
Yeah, the collection basket went direct deposit to the preacher's bank account. Exactly, Jeff. Exactly.
It's just a
But
weird
also,
story.
We have Herschel Walker. Is he running scared, you guys?
Yes. No, he's
happening?
not running scared.
I'm not running.
His supporters and advisors are running scared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain.
Now, personally, I'll be honest. I don't
Explain
really
that.
have an interest. Okay.
You don't have an interest in Herschel Walker?
I don't have an interest in hearing him speak. Let me go to what's the actual story here? Because I'm actually just got caught up on
The actual story is that he's been ducking out of scheduled debates with Raphael Warnock because of procedural issues. I think he's playing the Trump play card where Trump was like, I don't want to do another debate unless
He's not prepared.
Unless there's a certain moderator or whatever. So,
yeah, he agreed to
you think
do
he's
the
not
debate
prepared?
with stipulations, is what it says.
Well, where Herschel messed up was when he said that he'll debate anywhere, anytime, and told Warnock to name the place. And then when that opportunity came, he said, well, I want these type of moderators, this location, this and that. Well, it doesn't even matter. I mean, when you've exposed yourself several times already. So that's where he's stuck. If Herschel Walker had his first statement publicly should have been something that was prepared by a proper speechwriter. This first comment, from the first time he spoke out of ignorance. And that's what has ruined him ever since. So you have to go ahead.
Sorry.
Tim, you said that his advisors are to blame, or
they are.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They know they know he will make himself look like a fool if they let him debate.
He does it every time.
And they set him up.
Herschel Walker in politics. What is his image?
They set him up.
Yes, but if a man cannot remember how many children he has, he should not be running for office.
Let me show you guys who this man is, okay? Because I got a little video that I just downloaded. I haven't seen this
All
video
right.
yet, so forgive me.
Is that the one about the mental illness? About the personalities?
No, it's evolution. This is just
Oh,
a
yeah.
time where Herschel Walker proved to everyone that this man should be doing anything else. Anything else, okay? Do something that normal retirees do. They from sports. I mean, geez Louise, open athletic line business or something, grills, something. This is just not. But let me show you.
I think I'm becoming a hoodie guy. Like, I like hoodies. I'm like Zuckerberg without all the billions. Herschel Walker apparently isn't too much of an evolution buff. Quote, at one time science said man came from apes, did it not? Walker, the frontrunner for the Georgia Republican Senate nomination in 2022, said in an appearance in March at a church in Sugar Hill, Georgia, adding, if that is true, why are there still apes? Think about it. Okay, I will. So here's the deal. Humans and apes evolved from the same genetic ape ancestors.
Okay, that's all I wanted to show you. Think about it. I thought they were going to show him saying it. Darn.
Yeah.
But
So have you heard him talk? You've all heard him talk.
I've heard him talk, and I'm baffled every time of why he's allowed to.
Is he? So do you think that he has a dissociative disorder?
No,
Yeah, he has multiple personalities.
Multiple personality disorder.
He admits it.
He admits that, and he's running for
I was
Senate?
looking for the video now.
Black people don't deserve reparations. Herschel Walker.
Wow, he said that? I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So my problem with this is why I just can't find the words. I don't want to see him debate. I don't want to see Herschel Walker debate against anyone. It's just too embarrassing.
What is your okay? That's example. That's the same statement I had. I don't want to see him debate because I did not want to see him embarrass himself.
I don't want to see him embarrass us all. I mean,
But-
I put it like this, but it's
Here he reflects.
Line we're on.
But do you think that he would be more likely to lose if he debated? And wouldn't that be a positive for our worldview?
No, because I honestly don't.
No?
Only because he's a Black man and he willingly puts himself in these he literally puts himself in these positions to be embarrassed, to say embarrassing things.
He doesn't realize it though.
Reverend Warnock though would look good.
Yeah, why would we want to see two Black men debate and one of them? And it's like you have one.
Okay.
It's like Warnock would win on by default.
Well, think of this also. Why I give you look at this position. Look at it from this position. The Republican, there are other. If you want to use an African American male to be the face of Georgia as a Republican,
okay,
there are tons of other Black Republicans that are adequate in running for office against Warnock, and you pick one that you think with a familiar face because he's a celebrity, because that's how money people think. You take a person with a celebrity status, thinking that he's going to draw the crowd. Like I said, the point is to split the vote.
Yeah,
that's what that was for. Because Georgia won. If it was for African Americans voting in Georgia, Biden wouldn't have won Georgia.
You think that the Republicans nominated? Just so I get this straight, they nominated Herschel Walker so that it would split the Black vote in Georgia.
Yes, definitely. That's how Georgia won it. That's how Biden won Georgia. Tell me what state Biden won that was had a urban population, like a diverse population. Not one state in this country Biden won without majority Black vote. Not one. Not one. So that's the point I'm making. I mean, you can look when the Black vote comes in, they dictate the election. When 68 million people did not vote during the Trump-Hillary election, majority of that 68 million was African Americans.
I was gonna post or show this, but it gives me a headache. All these numbers.
I was like, how do I?
So let me see if I understand this. So it appears as if Warnock is leading by 3 or 4 percentage points.
Yeah, it's not a very big percentage.
Okay.
But to get back to one thing, people who don't follow politics are going to relate to Herschel Walker more than Warnock because they've seen Herschel Walker's face for decades. They know him as a football player. They know him as a baseball player. They know he holds records in both sports still.
And that's all that matters, Karen.
And to them, yeah. See, like with us with burn pits, we were not getting very far until Jon Stewart joined in the fight.
I got a question for Herschel Walker. Did he not play for Donald Trump's team in the USFL?
He had something to do with it, but I do not think he played with them.
Okay, because Herschel did play. Herschel got drafted. He got drafted to the USFL. Yes. He didn't go to the NFL first. He went to the USFL. Donald Trump wanted an NFL team. He couldn't buy one, so he became owner of the New Jersey Generals.
Yes.
And I was wondering, I got to look up, where did Herschel Walker play when he was in the USFL? New Jersey Generals. Mm-hmm. Boom!
Yes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Conspiracy theory.
See, I'm telling you, man, I'm digging deep, bro. I'm digging deep.
Yeah.
Now does it make sense?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
I just have no desire to see this man talk.
Man.
I'm not gonna change my mind. I just have no desire.
Okay, let's move on. What's next?
It appears as if you'll get your wish because it doesn't look like they're going to debate. So.
I hope not.
Give me something else, Bree. What we got next?
We got. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this entire police department quits in North Carolina. What is the story? I know we just talked about this, but what's the actual story on this?
She became city manager. She was her name is I don't have her name right now, but it's Kinley, Texas. And I gotta look up the article, but she was the best qualified candidate out of 30 candidates. Okay. And she's an African American female, came with all kind of honors and rewards of changing other municipalities and getting things in order. She went to this department in North Carolina, and people with 20 years experience quit. They said that she brought in a hostile environment, and this is like after 2 or 3 days of being on the job.
What's the demographics of what are the demographics?
Oh, actually, it's pretty equal. It's like 27% African American, like 25% Hispanic, and like 30%, something like 30-something percent white population. So it's pretty diverse community. The thing about it is that the whole police department is white. The chief is white. The whole police department, everybody's involved is white. And they all quit.
They all
so the good thing about this is this can be an example, which may be hard, but this could be an example of restructuring your police department. She now has the authority to bring in people that are going to do the job properly. You know what I'm saying? This can be the blueprint for other communities if it's done right.
I'm about to get my head cut off.
Okay.
Just to play devil's advocate. Just so what if she was creating a hostile environment within that 2-3 days? Maybe not intentionally, but do you think it could have been?
What could she have possibly done?
Well, think about this.
I'm not.
You know what? I'm sorry. You're right.
That's okay. I know that when you have a department that has a culture, when you have any company that has a culture and a way of doing things, right? No matter what that way is, there's a routine set in place. When someone from the outside, no matter who they are, what color they are, gender, whatever, comes in and decides to change that, doesn't that create a hostile environment for whatever reason?
Right. It does.
Part of it, and
it can
this person and insert them into this police department, and she's over all of them, correct?
Yeah, she's the city manager. She's over all of them.
Black woman.
But you think about it, Bree. What you're saying is absolutely correct.
I'm asking not because I believe it, and not because I'm one side or the other. Okay, just one.
You're correct, but I want you to continue. But what I want, this is the piece I'm putting in there, is that in her, if you look at who she is, what position she was elected, the simplest thing can be said. You can walk in and say, "Wow, this is what she knew this before she walked in. So you knew what changes she wanted to make. They knew before she came in her background. So That's just like if you was on a job. I mean, you've experienced it where you're like trying to say the right things and be fair to everyone, and they're like, you're being disgruntled right now because you want fairness. That's what that.
Did she not like some of the things that are going on, and so she came in and immediately made changes to their everyday routine, immediately made sure that maybe there's some things that they bypass a lot because it's a culture for them to just be slack on certain things.
Yeah.
She came in and said, we're doing this by the book. This is what it is. This is how it goes. Do you think that that could have caused them to leave instead of it being the fact that she's Black or the fact that she's a woman? Could it just be the fighter coming in to change the culture of the police department? And I'm not saying that I have this belief, but this is to just kind of fuel another perspective, trying to get all angles of this.
You got to ask the question, why would she do that? Why would a person, if she did these things, like I said, I'm going to go by the book. Do you know why she would do those things? To do those things because she's a minority in that position, and she has to do it by the book because they're going to crush her for not doing it by the book.
Right.
So she has to put her foot down, just like any woman, particularly in an all-male environment. You have to go by the book and do it right. But soon as a person of color comes in and presses their authority like they're supposed to, they're considered disgruntled, hostile, controlling because they're trying to do their job. They never thought any other white supervisor. I've seen it where you can be a person of color who's in a authoritative position, and you're doing your job, and people are saying, I don't like the way he said it.
Yeah.
I don't like the way he talks. I don't like the way he does this. But then you can have a white supervisor. She's being a
BITCH.
Right. For doing your job.
Do you think
that's what people say that because it's like, well, they're not used to women asserting themselves or whatever it is.
Right.
Do you think, and the reason why I chose to ask these questions is because I'm a Black woman.
Yeah.
Do you think that if it was not a Black woman, but a white man or a white woman or
it wouldn't be the same,
Asian man,
thing.
Do you think that just the person,
maybe an Asian man, but
well, I'm asking to just clarify.
If she was a white woman, she would have got pushed back, but not as much.
Yep.
Okay, so you're saying that the reason why this department quit, your belief is that the reason why this whole department of all white officers quit is because this woman was a Black woman and she was in charge of them.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Because if somebody else came into that position and, like you said, went by the book, put the hammer down, not everybody's quitting. She or he might have upset maybe 2 or 3 people enough to quit.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have police officers who are gung-ho to the oath that they took, and they're going to stay and protect the people.
Yeah.
You're also going to have officers going to say, hey, wait a minute, man, I got a wife and a kid on the way. I need my job.
Yeah.
They're going to stay. They're going to work through it until maybe if they're still upset, they'll find another job before they leave this one.
Yeah.
For an entire department to walk out in 3 days is because she's a Black woman.
You know how you could determine? You can see the character of these people that walked out, find out where they go next. The next department they go to, Dick will show you where, their character and why they left. And also for those that don't know, although the city is not
me too.
Although the city is does not have a police department, there have been a partnership with the state police, the highway patrol, I think it was, or the state police there, to collaborate and to assist until that department is built up again.
So,
which is a great thing.
Where do you go from here? So there's other cops. You just depend on the state patrol and hire other people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Rebuild the police department like they should have done years ago.
Yeah, you said that
it'll probably be better.
Yeah, it's a diverse city, right? So then they should be having the police force reflect what the community looks like.
Well, that's why I said that this could be a blueprint for other communities, because this can be the starting point of redoing the police department, because there's so much garbage in these police departments right now. So this can be as a small model. It's only 1,500 people. This can be an example of how you build your police department back up that reflects your community. And not only that, does the job with respect and integrity to all citizens.
What if the community in Uvalde, Texas, fired their entire department and started over?
As they should.
It would be great.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As they should.
One of them cops should have taken the initiative to go in there against orders because they know them kids were being killed.
They were in
taking
there.
care of the situation.
They were outside.
Yeah, they were outside that room and they never went in.
The only thing about Uvalde that
it's clean house.
If you clean house and you bring in the Texas Rangers or the Texas Department of Safety and all that, are they trustworthy? Because we've seen issues in Texas already. I'm in Texas. I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust it right now.
I'm just posting.
I don't know what you would do with the department in Texas. I don't know. Because if you put a government-led police department in that's led by the great old Greg Abbott, we're in trouble in Uvalde.
Well,
you see what I'm saying? So
I'm saying that the community would take the initiative, their city council, their mayor, and just simply say, we're gonna start over in our police department.
But where are you gonna get replacements to support you until you build up your police department? You got to come from somewhere.
They got a large 40% of their city budgets for the police, so they got the money.
Why can't there be a community watch? Why can't there be a community effort? I don't understand I don't understand why we look at police being taken out of. Why do we look at that as just the ultimate awful thing when we know for a fact that a lot of our police officers are not trained properly?
Let's just put up the hypothetical. Wherever we live, in the four communities we live in, what would happen if there all of a sudden tomorrow there was no police department? What's the worst that would happen? What would happen?
There would be much chaos, I think, in our country.
There would.
You do?
Just because of the climate of our country
your
right
community.
now. Yeah, not in our
I'm not talking like.
Oh, in my community right now,
about like
Anna, Texas,
where you live.
It would. I don't think it would be it's kind of twofold. I don't think in my immediate area of living that we'll have too many problems, but in the surrounding area of my community, I think it could be because there were so many people who didn't approve of the diversity in our community. People didn't approve of the expansion of new communities. They wanted this old town feel, and there's been a lot of hostility about it. So I don't know what type of actions would be taken, but things can get out of hand.
I'm not sure that we would see like the purge all of a sudden happen.
Yeah, I don't think so. You wouldn't have inexperienced cops running that's not what Community Watch is. Community Watch is simply people looking out for each other.
No, that's not what community.
I'm just responding to John's comment. And the reason I say that is because the community can hold down the fort until, your police force is back up, until you have volunteers that are, able to help run the community. I mean, you have just like you, Tim, are a veteran.
You have good guys with guns.
Different.
What you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that you have
vigilantes.
You have you have veterans in your community. You have people with some sort of experience in your community that can help protect the community. You have the neighborhood that you live in. I mean, there has to be some faith in your community that they can hold the fort down until we can get ourselves.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to get out my Batman outfit.
But it's not to say. I mean, are we living in the middle of just absolute chaos where now that there's no police force, people's houses are going to get robbed and people are going to start killing each other?
Okay. What did the Capitol Police do for us initially in
Washington, D.C. with thousands of rioters coming to storm the Capitol? We're not in little Anna, Texas, where everyone waters their grass and has perfectly green lawns and goes grocery shopping on specific days of the week. I'm just saying that we have to I feel like we should have a little more faith in our communities. I do believe that.
I agree with you. I just don't have that faith in our community. From a national standpoint. From a national standpoint.
We're not talking about a national standpoint. We're talking about this small community in North Carolina.
I guess I have more faith in people. I have more faith in people. Case
Yeah.
in point, Uvalde. What did you have? You had a mother going into the school
Yeah.
to grab her child,
Yeah.
and bring them out. That
Yeah.
that woman was more of a hero than the police officer. So
I
my
agree.
question is, what good? Bree, you asked the point. What did the Capitol Police do? What did the Uvalde Police do?
Jordan.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making.
That's the
That
point.
that's
Well,
what I'm
maybe
saying.
let's
That
stop killing people, John.
the
Just want to punt that out there.
I agree
don't
with John.
think-
We have to build a relationship between the police and the community, but there's fear on both sides. The citizens do not trust the police. The police are cowards when they won't stand up and stand there and have these conversations. They rather run from them. Now, I'm not saying all police officers, because I had a conversation with one. We brought him on our show, and we agreed that this is what needs to happen. But it doesn't happen. There are community meetings across this nation where there's distrust with the police, and the police should come into those meetings and engage and say, okay, let's have a conversation. And it doesn't happen.
Even if it were to happen, if you don't address the reason why, then you're not going to get anywhere. You can have a million conversations of what needs to happen, but if you don't address the reason why and where it stems from, which is the training that police officers go through to become officers.
Is it the training?
It is the training. There was a story that just came out maybe last month where what am I trying to say? I'm so angry. Sorry. The police department was in their training. They were using black suspects.
That was in Kentucky.
Practice.
Yes, I remember that.
This is where that comes from. The perception between the police and the community has to be positive, and that will not happen overnight. John, I agree with you, but if the reason is never addressed, the core issue, the root cause, if that's never addressed, then we're not going to get anywhere ever. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen ever.
The trust can be obtained through transparency. When there's an incident that happens, the leaders of that community need to be completely honest with them and say where there was culpability and where there were people that did something that was wrong, they need to be gotten rid of.
I got a question.
Black people being shot by the police, and when I see this is what I think of. The distrust in the community is usually between people of color and the police. Yes, it has not. It's almost always, and it doesn't matter the color of the officer. Usually,
it doesn't.
It's just the officer, and that goes. If you are having the same issue with a white officer, Asian officer, black officer, and the only issue is that they're an officer. For me, that ties into the training. When a white man can run through a park in Illinois and kill people on a what was that July 4th celebration and shoot off 70 rounds and be taken in to have his day in court, but a black man running away from the police in Akron is shot 60 plus times or however many times he was shot in the back. For me, that's an issue, and for me, that points to a problem with the police training.
Is it training or is it the heart condition of these people that are having these positions?
It's training.
The reason why I say that
because it is the training. Because when you are in training, you are taught to fear black people more than you are to fear other races. And that's
I want to add
is that what's taught, or is that the perception that's there?
If you are using black suspects as target practice, that's taught.
I'm not saying that if you were the one using the target practice, you were the cop. You're not using that target to dictate your perception of who's bad, who's more of a worse person. That starts with you as a person, as an individual. Because if you unload 60 rounds, the cop that shot Timothy and what's her lady's the lady that was in Cleveland when they stood on top of the car 137 times. That wasn't a training issue. That was that man's heart condition.
It's a cult. Okay, it's a culture. I understand
culture, but
it's done across the United States. When you see it done everywhere in the United States, do you not get the feeling that maybe it is? Okay, let's say training is a component of what's going on here.
How many black officers shoot at another black man that many times? How often do you see that happen?
There was a black officer in the group of 8 white officers.
I said how often do you see that happen? It's not that often. As often.
Is it not often?
It's not as often.
It is.
I think
It's not as often. He may be on the scene. My issue is he don't interact.
In Chicago, they just passed a law to where you can't chase people on foot.
Right.
A lot of them officers are black.
No, what I'm saying is no, you can't say that. No, it's not. That is not true. What I'm saying is that they do not interact.
Black officers ain't out here shooting black people.
I said they're not interact. They're not when they see the white officer abusing or using excessive force, that black officer does not get engaged. Does not say, "Hey, whoa, slow down." They do not step in the way. It's not common.
Officers are black.
And when these incidents happen that you see regularly, they are. What I'm saying is,
I have seen what Lamar's talking about. Yes.
No, I know
we don't see that the minority officers step in.
We're talking about an unarmed black man.
Look at what happened in Minnesota. Look at what happened in Minnesota. Wasn't there an Asian officer? Wasn't there a black officer in that group of cops?
They got
in Minnesota.
Following orders.
But then what I'm saying is that why didn't the black officer step in and say, "Step back. This is not right." When a black officer does that, there's a female.
It's a culture.
There's a female woman.
It's a culture within the police departments.
There's a female officer that was black, that was from, I think it was Michigan. I can't remember the exact city. She did this 15 so years ago, stepped in because a white officer was abusing a suspect.
Remember that. She got fired.
She got fired. That's what they fear. If you go look at the video from when the guy the guy that was got shot by the police for selling mixtapes in Louisiana, there was a black officer from Warrensville Heights, Ohio, who stood up and criticized how the officers don't stand up. And there need to be more officers standing up. I'm not saying black officers don't shoot people. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that we need to have it more vocal and them speaking out. They need to stand firm. Like they said, they took an oath. Stand firm when you see these actions happening and stop worrying about who's going to look at you a certain way. Then you got to also realize how many of these black officers may be threatened in a certain kind of way, or their families threatened because they do speak out. Yeah, it's a difference. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that they need to speak out more. And you don't see the footage of the black people killing black people that are unarmed. It's a white cop doing it most of the time. That's all.
Now the community I live in, Twinsburg, Ohio, it's in between Cleveland and Akron. Okay. This is the most diverse city I've ever lived in since I've been out of the military. Okay. The military, the diversity is huge.
Yes, it is. It is.
Now, here in this town, the entire city and the police department, fire department, rescue squads, everything, there is continuous conversation going amongst all the groups. Everything here in this town, everything seems to run extremely smooth. Everybody gets along. Everybody supports each other. Before I moved to Twinsburg, I lived in Akron. You've never seen any community meetings between police and the general population. You never seen any community. Don't know. Really don't know.
Bigger than
there was actually no conversation between even the fire department and the rescue squads with the general public. Never was there any meetings, no conversations whatsoever. That's why they're still having riots in Akron. Cleveland, same thing.
Yeah,
they never had any conversations between the police department and the general population until maybe about a week ago when they hired a new police chief.
Well,
and the first thing that police chief did was, we need a town hall.
Yeah,
because tensions in Cleveland are still really high between the general public and the police department.
I agree. Yeah, look at that comment from John. Now, this issue is. Go ahead, Bree. Go ahead, Bree.
It's not about. You know what? You go ahead. You go ahead.
When people say
John's comment.
When people go ahead and read it, Darren.
I think that if we keep defining this issue only in racial terms, we are not going to make any progress towards a positive solution. Policing needs to get better. Period.
Okay. Hold on. His statement can be perceived as correct, but the problem is when has policing never had a racial
Been
impact?
racial.
So if
Nah,
it if
I'm-
you've
yeah,
if
I
it's
agree
never
with you.
been if it's never had a racial impact, you can make that statement. But since it's always been there, how can you eliminate that from the conversation?
You
There's
can't.
no way.
You can't.
You can't eliminate it.
But this is what I say
That's like saying
every time the root cause. Why do we always like to skip to the part where we're creating solutions? Why do we always like to skip to the part where we're trying to rectify something, but we don't want to address what originally happened? I get it. It's a shameful time. It's a shameful time in our country's history. I get it. It's embarrassing. It's something you don't want to address. A lot of people hate to apologize first. They want to just jump to fixing it, right?
Yeah.
Why in the world will we have? How are we going to fix an issue that is started because of race? If we don't address the fact that it was started because of race, how are we going to just look past race if we don't address that that's the root cause? Like, we have to define the relationship between the community and the police by race.
Wait, here you go, Bree. Here you go, Bree. When they say that, because think about it. Tim brought it up. When they say the police and the community, what community are they talking about?
The Black community. It's literally the Black community, because police are not gunning down. Police are not gunning down white people the way they are gunning down Black people. White people are not dying in prisons and detention centers at the rate of Black people dying in prisons and detention centers. Cover-ups are not happening on white deaths in these situations like they are being with Black deaths in these situations. Yeah. Okay, body cam footage when it's released is not as jarring when it's a white person as it is when it's a Black person. The things that we see on body cam footage of what happens to a Black person in custody of police is it's disgusting. It makes my stomach hurt. It makes me nauseous. I want to throw up. Right?
Yeah.
How is that not a race relation issue? How is that not? I don't understand. So honestly, John, no disrespect. It's just when you make comments like these every week.
Now,
but get me riled up, okay?
Because there's no thought process in the statement. Go ahead, Tim.
Now take this and bring it back to Marjorie Taylor Greene and the way with the education and how this is dividing the country.
Exactly.
When you've got your politicians speaking Christian nationalism,
yeah,
and then your police departments are mostly white,
yeah,
and they're being told what to do by these politicians that are saying Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Right?
Yeah, and that's part of dividing this country up. Now let's take that another step further. Marjorie Taylor Greene also wants to give people choice of schooling. Okay, which means they want to get rid of public schools to where everybody has to go to a private school. They want to defund the Department of Education.
And they teach it how they want to teach also.
Yeah. Private schools teach what they want to teach. So a parent can say, hey, I'm not going to put my son or daughter in this school because I don't believe in what you're teaching. So they're going to take their kid and put them in a school that teaches just their beliefs. There's no cross intertwining of different cultures, different thoughts, the whole 9 yards. So when that happens, then these people start becoming police officers, and then they get a job at a town where these kids were taught something different. They're going to clash.
Doesn't that remind you of how suburbs and private schools became so prevalent in this country in the first place?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Hey, we're like 20 minutes past the hour, so you want to go ahead and we can start hitting the bottom line. Because we're going like over
the bottom line.
This is a great show, and it's always good when we go over like this, but it's going way over. So I want to go ahead and Tim. We always ask someone when they're on the show as a guest, what is your bottom line for today?
My bottom line today is, I hope every single American gets out there in the public areas, streets, make signs, pass the PACT Act, support veterans, let these politicians know this bill needs to get passed.
Bree, what do you have for your bottom line?
I fail to prepare for this every week, even though I know it's coming every Saturday. I'm just gonna say, stay cool out there. Get out there, support our veterans. I really appreciate Tim coming on today. Thank you so much for sharing your story
You're
with
very
us.
welcome.
It was
Thank you.
heartbreaking, but it needed to be heard, and I really, really appreciate you sharing that with us today. So that's my
Thank you.
Yeah. Darren, what you got?
I always like to say that I always like to reflect on what patriotism is, and so to me, um, we are patriotic. We might criticize our leaders, criticize what's wrong with our country, want to do better, and one of those that's patriotic, and one of those things is to support the people that serve the country rather than support ideas and ideals, is to actually support the people that do the work. And first in line would be veterans. So always support the people, always support their families. Let's support them. Tim was mentioning, spouses and family members that are like, they can't work either because they're taking care of their sick spouse or sick mother or father. So a lot of recognition needs to be a lot of light needs to be shined on this, and I just hope you get it, and I think you will. But it's been a struggle, and it shouldn't be a
Yes.
struggle. So
Exactly.
that's my bottom line.
Yeah, my bottom line is really just continue to educate ourselves. I was educated today with burn pits and what that meant. I only heard of burn pits in this whole conversation yesterday. I've been in a really it was just a busy week for me, so I didn't really catch up with just news here and there. But I just happened to see a clip of what was the name? John. What was the last name?
John Stewart.
John Stewart. Yeah.
Stewart, yes.
Yeah, he was on I saw a clip of him on the news and the caption burn pits. And
Yeah.
then immediately Darren said right after Darren said he had a guest talking about burn pits. So thank you for educating me. And my bottom line is please educate yourself so that you can be you can be part of an intelligent conversation and respectful conversation. And there's too many of those type of conversations that become divisive because of lack of education, lack of information. So please help yourself. And that's mine for today. And I guess we'll catch you all next week. Thanks again, Tim, for joining
You're
us.
very welcome. Thank you
It's
for
been a
inviting
blessing,
me.
man.
Thank you, everyone out there, for joining us and joining in this discussion and making it so great today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wrong one.